I was on my way home on a Friday evening. This was my favorite moment of the week. Right then, I got a phone call from my mom, who usually sends me messages. I answered the call and, "Hi mom, did something happen?" She gave me a surprising answer.
You don't have any plans tonight, right? I hear Komachi-chan has caught a cold, so go over to their house and take care of her.
Why me? Koma? I mean, what about Sakugawa's mom? Or even you?
I wouldn't ask you if we are able to do that. Akiko-san is in the hospital for an operation, and I'm already at school for Amane's parent-teacher conference.
Akiko-san is Komachi's mom. She's a doctor. Amane is my younger sister. To think about it, I remember seeing the notice for a parents-teacher conference. But
Just go there, okay? I don't even want you to go into a high schooler's room, let alone a girl's room. But they say, if it's Haruta, it's not a problem.
if I had a little more time to think about it, I might have been able to come up with a better plan. But I decided I was just wasting my time. I gave in to my mom and asked her, "Okay, I'll do it. What should I do?"
Grab the isotonic drink in our fridge and make her some rice porridge. And oh, don't forget to put a mask on.
She took a deep breath and said,
Don't do anything stupid.
"I won't. Just shut up." I hung up and hurried home. What my mom said at the end of the call had gotten into my head. Would I, nor could I do anything stupid. What do I mean by that? Komachi Sakugawa is my crush, and I don't want her to hate me any more than she does already. I got home, threw my bag on the floor of my room, took some rice out of the fridge and began making the porridge while thinking about Komachi. We are the typical childhood friends. We live across the road and have been in the same school from kindergarten to junior high. I'm off to play with my friends, or a friend will be coming over today. Would always mean going to each other's house. That continued until we graduated junior high. Everything changed on the graduation day. We fought over something trivial, and since then, we don't speak at all. Time flew by, and it has already been a year since we last spoke. Now we are in high school and have different lives. It was so easy to avoid each other. I let out a silent sigh and sealed the rice porridge. I took out an isotonic drink and a jello out of the fridge, put my shoes on, and opened the door. Although I have gotten bigger, the house on the other side of the road felt farther away than ever. We live in a small town on the countryside. I knew the doors wouldn't be locked. I pulled the door to the side and went in. "Excuse me." I put on my mask and went up to Komachi's room. I put my hand on the door and took a deep breath. I opened the door and saw her across the room, lying on her bed asleep. Komachi. When I was a child, I never imagined that a time would come in my life where it would be so difficult just to call her name. Komachi. Komachi. I didn't get an answer. All I could hear was the sound of Komachi breathing. It's Haruta. I came over to check on you. Komachi moved a little, and I felt that she slightly loosened herself up and broke into a smile. Wait, what am I supposed to do? Should I wake her up? Or wasn't I supposed to wake her up before I came in the room? I was starting to feel awkward when Komachi let out a quiet little voice.
Haruta.
I was at a loss for words. When was the last time she called my name like that? My heart was getting filled with joy. I was feeling nervous, but then the room was filled with silence once again. So I decided to wake her up for once.
I like you.
Gasp! I gulped down my breath. The steam was rising from the rice porridge. Oh, she just sleep talking. That had to be it, I told myself. Of course, she would never say that she liked me. That is just impossible. I probably just misheard her. It would have been nice if her crush would have come to take care of her. Why am I the one taking care of her? Okay, I'm just here to take care of her and go home. That's it. I made up my mind to wake her up and ignore the pain I was feeling in my chest. Komachi. This time I called out louder than before. She slowly opened her eyes and Are you awake? Your mom and my mom asked me to look after you, so I brought you some things. Sakogawa. It took a few seconds for Komachi to understand the situation, and then she opened her eyes wide and pulled the blanket up to her chest. Our eyes meet. Here's a nice tonic drink for you. And I made some rice porridge. Do you want to have some? I came closer to her so that I could hand them over, but
Stop! Don't come near me!
she said, "Oh, yes. We do know each other since childhood, but we aren't friends anymore, so it's not surprising that she would treat me like a stranger now." Apparently, humans are built to smile when they are extremely sad. I put on a fake smile and said, "Sorry, my bad." As I was able to stand up and leave everything here for her, she says,
No, that's not it. You see, I sweat a lot during my sleep.
She spoke very quietly. Her voice showed how embarrassed she was. It took a little time until it registered in my brain what she meant. Oh, I see. Back in the day, we used to have conversations which went on forever. But now I couldn't come up with what to say next. I'm so dumb. My emotions are going up and down every second, and the pain in my chest is still there. I'm leaving. Everything I brought will be over here. I chose to leave her alone. Komachi looked a little surprised at first, but then her expression showed how upset she was. After a few seconds of complete silence, I stood up and walked toward the door. Take care. Right at that moment,
Wait!
Komachi said. This time, there was no silence and Komachi continued saying,
I want you to stay for a little longer.
The fragile voice of my crush, the voice that I hadn't heard in the ear. I was feeling all sorts of emotions, but I chose to sit down once again. I'm sorry for what I did to you.
I'm sorry for what I did to you.
Again, we spoke at the same time. It was the words I always wanted to say to her, and what I wanted to hear from her. Our eyes met, and Komachi continued.
Honestly, I was jealous. Now that I think about it, all of this was so silly. You probably know by now. But the second button of school uniform, which you gave to that other girl, I wanted it. I wanted you to confess your love to me.
As she said so, I was remembering what had happened last year on graduation day.
Hey, why did you leave me behind?
After the graduation ceremony, I was walking home when Komachi spoke to me from behind. You never told me to wait for you.
I was searching for you all over the place.
I didn't know that. And you were busy talking with Sakishima anyway. Once I mentioned another guy's name, Komachi looked upset.
Of course I was talking with my friends. It's graduation day.
I ignored her and walked on. Komachi looked at my chest and spoke out.
Are you okay going home with me? Instead of going home with the girl you gave your second button to?
It is a Japanese tradition for a guy to give the second button of the school uniform to his crush. Komachi was mentioning that. But I answered her in a mean way, because I felt jealousy towards the other guy she was talking to. It's none of your business. Besides, you are the one who chose to go home with me. I tried to act calmly, and so did Komachi. I was acting way more firmly than usual, but I tried even harder to sound tough.
Alright then. I don't know why I feel so irritated on such an important day. This is so dumb.
Our childish argument kept going on. Only if one of us would apologize, it would end. But we weren't able to do so. Komachi's eyes were tearing up.
I'm done talking with you.
She said, and ran away. Finally, I came back to myself. We were both being stubborn, and all that did was hurt both of our feelings. But we just couldn't grow up and apologize. I kept on procrastinating for a whole year, and now I finally got the chance to do the right thing. Komachi was also remembering what happened a year ago from her point of view. As she was about to leave the school, her friends was encouraging her.
This is finally it. It will work out, definitely. Alright, go get him. I nodded to my best friends for cheering me on and ran out of the school gate. Today, I'm going to confess my love to him. I spoke out to myself with a small voice. From next month, my childhood friend and I are going to be going to different high schools. So, now was my only chance. Whichever way it turns out, we definitely won't be just childhood friends anymore. That's the reason why I kept procrastinating until today. But today, that is going to end. Today is the last time I could spend the same time with him. And if I don't tell him today, I will probably going to regret. So, when I asked him about his second button, and he told me that it was none of my business, my mind totally went blank. Are you okay going home with me? Instead of going home with the girl you gave your second button to? I said so, while knowing I was acting like the type of girl no guy would like. I didn't want to even imagine what I looked like in his eyes. Because I was already nervous, thinking that I was going to confess my love to him, I totally lost my calm, and that was the same for Haruta, who usually was kind to me. When we fight, we usually apologize quickly and become friends again within 10 minutes, but because of all the emotions I had, I wasn't able to act properly. Needless to say, I wasn't able to tell him how I felt, and for that past year, I didn't know what to do, while time kept flying on.
Right now, finally, we are facing each other.
We are both childish, don't you think?
Yes, we were too stubborn.
Do you remember when you greeted me good morning? I'm sorry for ignoring you that time. I just didn't know how to answer you.
That's not a problem at all. Why don't you eat some porridge I made for you?
Thank you. I will have some. It's warm.
Although a little awkward, we were finally able to hold a conversation. Komachi finished eating, and we finished talking, and the room became silent again. So, alright then. I'll be leaving. Take care. I stood up to leave the room when Komachi opened her mouth. She closed it and opened it once again and said,
You see, I was just having a dream right before you woke me up.
Komachi continued on. She looked less pale than before.
I was dreaming about what had happened 1 year ago. Maybe time has already run out, but I like you, Haruta.
The silence in the room intensified. The words that had been on the tip of my tongue for so long slipped out of my mouth. I believe time hasn't run out because all of my regrets for the past year and all of my emotions were finally released. I like you too, Komachi. Could I have gotten the cold from her? I felt my temperature rise all over my body. I could still hear Komachi's teary smiling voice saying,
My fever is probably coming back again.